We are on to the Stayers Hurdle, the feature race on day 3. I said at the beginning of the season that I fancy Paisley to regain his crown. I said also that if he gets beat at Newbury, I'd have a bit more of a reserved judgment on him for the race. Look, he's fav now. I think he's got a proper chance. Him and Time Hill tactically, it depends on how things happen between them in the race. I feel like if they run against each other 2 or 3 times, the result could be different. They're both capable of beating each other. I think that's what I'm basically trying to say. But as far as I'm concerned, I cannot see anything other than those 2 winning the race. Now, then, neither of them are running the Cleve Hurdle, which would have been interesting because the final flight is the closest that it ever is to the finish line at the Stayers Hurdle, whereas in the Cleve Hurdle, there's a massive long run in. So if Time Hill was able to get the better of Paisley Park in the Cleve Hurdle, I'd give Paisley no chance in the actual Stayers. But we're not going to find out that beats of gift. We have to find out on the day. I like it. It winds me up, if anything, like the Irish horses like Cider Handicapper being put in here as a Stayers Hurdle winner. Like they're just not good enough. Like Paisley and Time Hill, we've talked about the Outbar, how good that form is. The winner comes from one of those 2. And I know that other people have different opinions, so I'm going to stay away from you first, Jamie. Matt, you're in my camp, right? Surely.
Yeah, it comes from Paisley or Time Hill, and I've been back and forth. But I think Paisley will probably just do it, Dave. To be honest with you, I think he'll stay on strong and like he did the last day and get Time Hill at the hill. Cheltenham.
Do you think there's any value or any juice in either their price, or do you think most people should have been on by now if they were going to back them?
Yeah, probably the value's gone on it because you couldn't be confident. You couldn't be. I'm not bullish about Paisley Pack. It's just the way I think he'll edge out Time Hill, but the Irish don't look up to it, do they? In comparison, it's got to be between the 2 at the head of the market for me.
Obviously, we've backed Benny for the Mare's Chase, and obviously we talked about it in the Mare's Hurdle that maybe she's too big a price for that. Maybe it's a cover. How many years have people been saying that Benny should come to a Stayers with a Mare's allowance? Do you think there's any chance that they're going to ruin us and put Benny in the Stayers?
No chance.
Beauts, right. I'm not right, Darryl. I think I need to come to you before you have another sip. What do you fancy in the Stayers, mate?
I have got 3 horses that I thought were nailed down on my whiteboard. I've got Chacon Boursois, I've got Shishkin, and I've got Time Hill. I thought Time Hill had a massive chance in this. I thought Richard Johnson gave this a horrid ride at Ascot in the long walk. I really did. I thought he was travelling with plenty of zest. I thought he got to the front far too soon. I don't think this horse is straightforward by any means, but he got to the front far too soon. And I thought he like you watch him, he goes over to You Never Call after the last to try and get between the second last and the last, try and get a little bit of company because I don't think he wants this horse out in front on his own too long. And then he had no choice because he was travelling so well, but to kick and go for it. And then Paisley Park picked him up in the final strides. And then as Paisley Park comes by him, Time Hill goes on again. And I just thought they got a little bit lonely. I think they're going to deliver him a little bit later. They tried it in the Albert Bartlett last year. It didn't work. He got the door shut on him. He would have won the Albert Bartlett for me last year. Listen, I was on Monkfish. I had a hell of a lot of Monkfish as well. And I still look back at that race and think the unlucky loser was Time Hill. Undoubtedly. I did all the time figures for the race and it confirmed that the unlucky loser was Time Hill. If he would have got a clear run down that home straight, he would have won, no doubt about it. I think delivering this horse as late as possible will give him the best chance. But with that comes with a little bit of uncertainty, of course. It comes with a little bit of frustration that he's not straightforward, and therefore that is a worry. But Time Hill, for me, is the one that I think is going to go on to win this race. Let's just say Fury Road at 20-1 is far too big of a price. Far, far too big of a price. He does never run well at Leopardstown, so ignore that run completely. He's better than what he showed there. Fury Road is not a 20-1 shot. It should be shorter than that. It should be more like an 8-1, 10-1 shot. So he's probably the value at the moment. The other one I do like in here, and I've liked this horse for a very long time. He is a 10-year-old now, though, and it's the Storyteller. And him and Side de Burley ran very similar sectionals at the Cheltenham Festival. I thought the Storyteller should have just gone on, rather than Davy Russell sitting there holding. Was it Davy Russell? Yeah, Davy Russell sitting there holding on to him and tanking at the last and trying to do side of Burley for a turn of foot that didn't work. I thought he should have gone on. I thought he ran really well at Leopardstown. I thought he was given far too much to do there. He's been over fences. I think they're training him for the Stayers Hurdle. He's already finished in front of side of Burley and Fury Road. Obviously, I said you can forgive Fury Road that run there at Leopardstown. But he's not a 20-1 shot here. He's a Grade 1 winner in open company over fences. He's a really, really talented horse. He handled Cheltenham excellently well. I think he could be a bit of a surprise package. I think providing he gets the right type of ride in the race and delivered to perfection, I think the Storyteller at 20-1 is a massive, massive price here. I really, really do. I think this race, although it's very good and it's got a little bit of depth to it, I still do have the gut feeling that this is asking for a bit of an upset. I think Time Hill might run really well in this and finish second. I just got a nagging feeling that there's a little bit of an upset to be had in this race, and if there is, then it's definitely the Storyteller for me. So I just think 20-1 here. I think you can take that price about him now, sit comfortably, knowing he's going to be trained for this race, and just see what happens. I mean, Time Hill and Paisley Park 3-1-7-2, they're not going to be much different on the day, regardless of what happens. You know what I mean? If you imagine now you're on the day of the Stayers Hurdle, Paisley Park, you can imagine in the morning drifting out to about 5-1, 4-1, or being back slightly in. The market's going to move so much. I couldn't be having the likes of Time Hill or Paisley now at these prices. The Storyteller at 20-1 I could, because I could see a lot of the horses in front of him in the market are not going to run it. Danger Company, Roxana, for instance, Honeysuckle, Fabulous, not going to run in there. He doesn't stay the trip. I think 20-1 the Storyteller is a good each way price.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's the thing with it. I feel like the Storyteller and Cider Burley are both like sort of much of a muchness. I think they're like very good handicappers. I agree with you. There shouldn't be the price difference in the pair of them at all. You can still get 25s on the Storyteller at the time of this video in. That's with Sky Bet. So if you get your £5 free bets, then why not whack one on? Jamie, I mean, whether I should let you talk or not, I don't know. Depends who your first horse you want to talk about is. Jamie, come on. But actually, before we talk about that bit, where you said, Darren, about how Time Hill needs to be like probably a little bit quirky, he needs to be delivered at the right time, all that sort of stuff. In my head, I've got it pitched that Dickie's going to have to be like holding on to a bit, jumping into that last, or at least hoping he can do it. And then Aidan Coleman, like the year that he flew past Forheen, well, I say flew past Forheen, Forheen was obviously dropping a bit, but I can imagine Aidan Coleman's already be riding Paisley, so he's going to be getting up to work. So I'm hoping as they jump the last, they're pretty much side by side. Paisley's already in top gear. Time Hill's going to be asked to then go for it. And then I feel like it could literally just be head bobber to the line and then just one of them wins depending on how it goes in the day. Probably what's going to happen is they're both going to get stuck behind a wall of horses, and they went side of Burley and the Storyteller have tactically just got in there to ruin the race. Gordon Elliott was sensing it off a million miles an hour again, like they did with Apple's Jade. But hey ho. Sorry, Jamie. What do you think in the race, mate?
Well, you just summed it up, Dave, haven't you? Because if there's a front runner in the race, Paisley Park has no chance because he'll be too far behind. Am I right? Yeah. No, I think the faster pace, now all jokes aside, will suit Time Hill because it'll help him to settle better. The faster they go, it'll help him massively. Yeah. And like he's what I see there, 92.5 to 1 on Labrooks. What a bet Time Hill is, but that's up to yourself. I know what Darryl said. I had a great bet a couple of years back on the Storyteller and the Burren Group play, and I thought I could see him beaten because I was on him for the Martin Pike the year before. But I'm sorry, Darryl. How can you say that the Storyteller, will finish above Sarah de Burley when Sarah de Burley gave him £3 last year in the Thames instead of beating him going away? Do you know what I mean?
Just like he did in the Christmas Hurdle at Leopardstown.
No, but you're coming back. You're coming back, though. You're coming back. Rein it in. You're coming back. Not every horse is suited to Leopardstown, right? Not every horse is suited to Leopardstown.
I agree. But
two times Sarah de Burley is run at Cheltenham. New course. It suits him. Now, the only way Sarah de Burley has absolutely no chance in the Stayers are if they go slow. This is a complete match race between Time Hill and Paisley Park if they go slow.
Right,
If
hold
they
on.
go really good, if they go a handicapper space there, right? Paisley Park out with the washing before they even come down the hill. I'm sorry, he's out washing.
All right,
Right.
let me put this to you then, yeah. All right, the 2 times that Cider Burley has won the Potemps Handicap final, right? They've switched the headgear out both times because they know he's a lazy horse and they know that he needs some sort of spark, right? They've
But that's
left
what
the
I'm saying.
blinkers.
He races behind the bridle and he will jump up the hill, if you know what I mean, kind of away. He will be there. He will
Right,
be there regardless.
that's fair enough. He may well be there, but what I'm saying to you is they left the blinkers on last time at Leopardstown, and I know he's not got a great record at Leopardstown, but they left the blinkers on last time at Leopardstown,
Yeah.
and it didn't work. They left the blinkers on the time before at Navan over 2 miles 4. All right, it was 2 miles 4, but he scraped time against French Dynamite. Right, the fact that they need to switch out the headgear for both Cheltenham runs says to me that he's not straightforward and that they need to find something to give him that extra little spark. Right. They've used the blinkers, they used the cheek pieces. What do you do now to send him to the Stayers Hurdle to get him to have that little bit of spark to spark him back into life? Because I'll tell you what, if he goes there with
I agree with you.
headgear, he's got absolutely no chance.
Oh, yeah, well, I totally agree. If he's no headgear on, you're wasting your time completely. But it's like the Flooring Porter run, right, the last day. It looks like to me it was another throwdown race, right? They give him a soft lead. They thought he was going to come back. Now, Keith Donoghue I agree with you. Keith Donoghue, storyteller, one of the worst rides you've ever seen in your life. He was way too far behind. Like, he was giving him saying, "Oh, this horse is going to come back to me." Right. I would forgive Cider Burley his run because I think he is shit hot on the new course, right? I can't see if it's good ground and someone goes out in front. The problem is, where's your front runner? Like, if you look down the field. Now, I agree with you there. 20-1 to Fury Road, going back to what we were saying, that Diarra Bartlett is the best race last year, which it is. He has to have a chance. I know my dad, who backs horses as well, he's really sweeting him, and he said he'll definitely be in the first 3 Fury Road. I hope he's right, but I really think it's a very tough race. Like, if you were in this race 20 times, you're going to get 5, 6, 7 different winners because the fact of the matter, if you go fast, you don't know. If they go slow, if you go medium, you just don't know. And I'll go back to what I said at Ryanair. This is going to be a massive in-play bet because you just don't know who is there when you come down to the second last, who's going to be actually there, who's going to be out with the washing. It really is a great race because at the start of the year, you think Paisley Park, Time Hill. The Irish horses will still have a say. Is it a match race? I don't think it is because I don't think there's definitely going to be something flying in the ointment inside in the race. And it's a great race to watch, and it's going to be an in-play bet.
I agree, but like a lot of people, what they've said as well about this, about Cider Burley and about the Stayers Hurdle last year and about the Potemps Network, right? A lot of people have said that, the Potemps Network final was like 4 seconds overall quicker than the Stayers Hurdle, right? That is nonsense, right? If anybody's listening to this, don't listen to overall times, listen to final circuit times, because there was a point in the race at the Stayers Hurdle last year where they were around between 22 and 24 lengths ahead of the Potemps final network. Right.
Yeah, if you watch, I watched the head on. I did the split screen thing. They were way over here, and the Stayers Hurdle was way there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But look, a lot of people are saying that the Potemps was overall quicker than what the Stayers Hurdle was. That may have been the case, but at one point in the race, they were 23 lengths behind them as well. So they've obviously finished a lot tighter because they've got a lot harder in the circuit time. So the one thing I would say is that Cider Burley, for me, needs to prove that he can go a proper absolute gallop. So just like you mentioned earlier about whether Epperton can get beaten by just going fast, or Paisley Park rather can get beaten by just a horse going off and blasting off and setting off a real strong gallop, it might be the same story for Cider Burley, because he hasn't proved on any of the time figures that he's done that he can go a proper championship gallop on a circuit time. He's proved he can quicken up quite well, and that has been the case from 3 out to the finish line. He's been very quick.
Well, wouldn't you be worried though, Darren, if they went slow? Does he have the pace to maybe pick them off at the end because the way he races? If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
if they go slow, is he quicker than they finish the line?
Yeah, it very much depends on the. Of course, it depends on the final field. Like, let's say we're at Antipode's preview at the moment, but it depends on the final field. It depends on who's setting the pace. It depends on a lot of different factors that are going to change the dynamic of this race. Because, like, you know that side of Burley's got a decent turn of foot from 3 out to the finish line. If they've gone slow, he's going to quicken up very smartly, providing the change of headgear or whatever they decide to do with him works. Because that is one key thing for me is the headgear. The fact that they've had the cheek pieces on for one Potemps win, and then they've switched them out for the blinkers deliberately to try and spark him up again for the next Potemps win. That to me suggests that they know that they need to do something different with this horse to keep him enlightened or to keep him with his head focused.
If there's no aids on the day, you might as well tear up your fucking docket. Do you know what I mean?
But what aids do you use though? Because if the blinkers have ran their course and he's used them up,
I thought he was better with I thought he was better with the blinkers last year than he was with the chickpieces, if you know what I mean. Because he got way too far behind and he still came through with the chickpieces. So I think he'll wear blinkers.
So if he had cheek pieces on, you'd be avoiding them?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Fair enough.
Superb. I mean, I can do you all the favor.
I backed him to win that Pertemps final, and then I was on the storyteller to win that last Pertemps final.
Yeah, no. I tipped him to win the Potemps last year at 10-1. I thought he'd have a fantastic chance off a mark of 152, especially. But the main angle for it was the fact that they had switched the headgear out to spark him up again. Yeah. So that just worries me that that's now been done with. So now what do they do with him going forward? That would just be my concern. And the fact that he finished so weakly behind the Flooring Porter when he was in a prime position, I know it was at Leopardstown, and I know he's not been great there previously, but he was very weak in the market. He finished very tamely. It was just a worrying performance for me. When the looks of Time Hill and Paisley Parker going head-to-head, battling at it, putting everything on the line, they're improving all the time. That would just be a concern for Cider Burley to me.
This is why we weren't going to do the handicaps, and you two have just spent an hour talking about two handicappers that are not even going to beat them in this day's hurdle. But to be honest, it's good. To be honest with you guys, it's good to talk about that sort of stuff because they're the sort of things that people don't necessarily think about, especially when it comes to headgear, quirky horses, that sort of stuff. I would, again, if there was match bets flying about, I would have the storyteller all day long versus Cider Burley in a match bet in the Stayers Hurdle, and it was Keith was supposed to ride him at Leopardstown, Jamie, but it was Dennis O'Regan that picked up the ride because I watched him and I knew that Darryl put him. There was a non-runner in the race. I saw what Darryl had put up as his nap, and he'd done an each-way bet.
I was watching Darryl put up storyteller, and I was like, "What?"
And he got,
all of a sudden, then I said,
But again, it just like that sort of thing. It was a race for second place, but it was slightly impressive in what he did. But look, we're looking at stuff that probably doesn't need to be looked at. There's our nap of the festival then, the storyteller in a match bet versus Cider Burley in the state. But I think to all intents and purposes, Paisley's dangling that carrot that he could potentially do it again. But I do think Time Hill probably is the one to beat, despite that Ascot run. It was just Paisley's afterburners coming back was just the best thing to see. If he'd got beaten again at Ascot or not showing that sort of finish, then it would have been a bit worrying because his Newbury run he didn't pick up like he should have done. But it's a proper. I love the Stayers Hurdle as well, so I'm glad that people are getting excited about it.
Yeah, I think we could all agree though that Fury Road is probably overpriced at 20-1, just on the back of a Leopardstown poor run at Leopardstown where he never runs well anyway.
Yeah,
they backed him into favourite to win at Leopardstown.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I could not believe it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. So.
Never mind. Right, so I'm with that. I'm happy to agree that Paisley Park, Time Hill or Fury Road win it. No one else has got a chance in.
The storyteller has a chance.
No, he's got a chance of beating Cider Burley, but they'll be battling out for 14th and 15th. Darren will be going nuts on the sideline with his match bet.
I'll clip this when he wins.
He's not going to win, so you won't need to clip it. Don't worry about that, mate. Right, we're done for these Stayers.